Hi, you're watching VGO40 and this is VGO Girl, and today we're looking at World of Kings for the iOS, and we're looking at the mechanical maze in adventure mode, the dungeon. We're going to take a look at each of the bosses. Okay, so clear all the mobs up to the first boss, including the mobs around this first boss. So there's not really anything really special about this first boss. It's really just kind of point, if you're a tank, point the boss away from the rest of everybody else. And it's a lot of just avoiding these area of effect attacks that he does. And the one that you kind of got to keep an eye out for is kind of light on the ground. 3/4 of the ground will be an attack zone, so you kind of have to, and you can see it here, you kind of have to just go behind the tank into this one little wedge that's safe, and then kind of face them, the boss back away from you, so or away from everybody else. So just kind of watch for the area of effect, and that's really the main thing on this first boss. The only other thing really noteworthy on this boss is there's like this little slime guy, or I don't know, whatever he is, slug, that will come after you. If you stay away from him, I don't think you'll get changed, but if he does touch you, you will turn into this little slug guy and you won't be able to use any of your skills. It only lasts for a couple seconds, but on occasion it'll kill you because if your healer's changed or you're changed or whatever. So just kind of keep an eye out for that. Stay away from him if he comes over to get you. Okay, once the first boss is dead, just clear everything out to the next boss, and I'm going to skip some of that. Okay, approaching the second boss, I think it's a good thing just to point out that you should probably pull the mobs behind the boss before you attack the boss. Otherwise, some of the attacks, I've done it before where we don't have to pull the mobs, and if you're really careful about your attacks, you don't get those mobs behind. But otherwise, I've done it a few times where some things like charges and stuff will pull the mobs behind. So if you can get to the side, just pull the mobs from the second boss. Okay, for me as a tank, this boss is actually the hardest boss in the dungeon. He hits really hard. It's not like there's really any special attacks other than one that he does. It's just that he hits so hard. So you have to have a really good healer, and you have to have your tanking skills got to be a little bit good. I guess the only thing I can say about this boss is really, instead of watching what's going on the screen so much, really watch your health and what your attacks are. Now here's his special attack. You'll see that there's this kind of like blue circle thing in the middle. Just kind of run away from it, and eventually it'll turn red and it'll kill anybody who's inside. But so it's just pretty easy to avoid. But as far as tanking this goes, I just kind of watch for, if my health is really low, then I hit my heal. If my health is getting low, then I'll hit my my horse, which increases my armor. If my health is getting really low, then I'll time the invulnerability shield. You really have to just know your class and time out your spells well. Don't just hit that heal as soon as you get a little low, because really you're going to need it when you get really low and the healer's trying to either, get enough mana back to be able to heal you, or, whatever the case is. So you're going to have to really time those things well so that you're able to, stay alive as long as possible. And honestly, I use a lot of reses in here. So, I mean, it's just a matter of getting through it. And if you have a good tank and good healer, then your DPS is high enough, you're probably going to make it past this boss. Okay, after the second boss, go ahead and clear the few mobs to the third boss. Okay, this is probably the trickiest boss in the zone, and only because you really got to pay attention to what you're doing. I've done this where we failed a ton, and then I've done this where I haven't had to res at all. So I'm not entirely sure, it really depends. But you gotta watch the AoE damage a lot on this boss. There's tons of it. Just kind of keep an eye out on what the boss is doing. And, the other thing that you have to watch out for is you'll get these messages above your head a lot. and it just really wants you to move back to the middle, the whole group. So I know when I read about the dungeon, it says, you know, certain people have to move near each other. And I want to say the first run I did, I saw that a lot. And then this couple runs I did, I didn't see that very much. But really, just watch the messages above your head. They're going to tell you to all move back to the center. And so you do that. I kind of try to keep the boss centered as a tank, but there's so much AoE damage that the boss does that you really have to move out of it a lot. So on this boss, I don't really have any great tips other than stay out of the area of effect circles, and I tried to watch where my healer was going when they were backing up, and back up with them. And just kind of, again, run. You see the text above the head there, just run back to the center when it says to do so. And beyond that, just having a high DPS is helpful, having a good tank, a good healer. I mean, all the typical things. But this is another hard boss, at least right now, until people get their gear score and everything up higher. I think that this is going to be another challenging boss. You're watching VGO 40, and this is VGO Girl, and we hope that you found this helpful, to at least give you a preview of what you're to expect. Please take a moment to like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and we will see you next time in World of Kings.